Hi there, my name's Ben Lyon. I'm an external student studying this subject, SPE210. Basically, this is my presentation for assignment 1, analysing experimental data. My presentation looks to elaborate on the results of experiment 5, titled Fitness Competency. This experiment involved the practical application of multiple fitness tests to assess the physical fitness competencies in students in secondary schools within Australia. This experiment consisted of 6 tests, each testing a different specific ability. These tests were the 1.6 kilometre run, which tested cardiorespiratory endurance. So basically students were asked to run as fast as they possibly can over a 1.6 kilometre course, which was flat, to see how fast they could do it in. We also had a BMI test, so basically a person's body mass index. The body mass index, the way that is measured is basically you take somebody's weight and you divide it by their height squared. That body mass index gives you a mean or an average across the rest of the country, which was, gives you an average to see where you compare with your particular individual body mass index. There was also the max sit-ups. Basically the max sit-ups test was done using a metronome, so students were asked to lie down on their backs and a metronome would tick. Once a student wasn't able to complete sit-ups anymore in time with the metronome, that was when their score ended. Same as with their max push-up tests, testing their upper body strength, so seeing how many push-ups students could do in a row consecutively until they weren't able to do any more as well. We also had the sit and reach test. Sit and reach test, great test for flexibility, seeing how far a student could reach their hands fully extended and their legs fully extended, their hands past their toes. We also had the standing long jump. Standing long jump basically testing explosive power in the legs, starting from a stagnant start, 2 feet together, behind a line, jumping out as far as they possibly could to see how much distance they could cover. Explosive power throughout the legs and upper body. The purpose of these tests is to define an individual's differences that may lead to individuals being successful in a specific sport or sporting field. So basically what these tests were trying to show is, do individuals start to show an inclination towards a certain set of skills or a certain set of rules or a certain set of abilities that might lend themselves to being successful in a sport later on in life. Basically, in analysing this experiment, we need to discuss the work covered by Schmidt and Lee in our textbook with regards to ability versus skill. They define ability as something that is genetically determined, something that someone is good at without actually practicing or being taught that skill in the first place. Things like being able to run really fast, but never having been part of an athletics team. So, you're out on the school playground, you're playing bull rush or tip or hide and seek or whatnot, and suddenly one of your friends, little Jimmy, just goes, flies past you, and you're like, frick man, I've been training for 2 times a week, 3 times a week, mum's had me in freaking running squad, why the hell is Jimmy just running down the street like there's no one tomorrow, like Forrest Gump? He has a natural ability to be quick. Things like, being able to hang on the longest on a set of monkey bars. You have those kids that were just able, like monkeys, they were able to just climb non-stop. And then you had people like myself who would hold on to a rig or a chin-up bar and would feel like a rock and would not be able to move one way or the other. I just felt like I was the heaviest person in the world. My brother, for example, can do chin-ups all day long. I struggle to do one. Why is it that he is capable of doing that and I'm not? Obviously a different muscle structure and a different muscle density helps him to do that sort of thing, having neither of us been in the gymnastics team. A skill, on the other hand, is something that is developed over time and through practice, doing a particular movement over and over and over again. Things like the accuracy achieved when shooting a basketball. That's not something that you're born to do. I don't know, maybe they are, some people might be, but majority of the time, that's a skill that you practice over and over and over again until you get that skill down packed and you have a high % success rate when you're shooting a basketball. Other things might be hitting a golf ball on a driving range. That's very skill and technique dependent. The thing about hitting a golf ball is that, I suck at golf. I know I suck at golf. I'm terrible at golf. And I don't play golf knowing that I'm not good at golf. But every time I have attempted it, I'll go up to a ball, I'll smack it, and most times I'll take out more dirt and make more holes in the golf course itself than I will actually spend hitting the ball. Friends of mine, though, that do it quite a lot and enjoy golf, obviously have that technique down packed, and they hit that ball and it will just go flying down the green, obviously through relation to a proper swing. Basically, the tests in this experiment looked to test a person's ability as a factor in determining whether their abilities or the skills or the abilities that they were born with can set the limits on their performance with regards to a specific skill set. So are we talking about ability in relation to skill? Will those abilities they were born with, can they then be trained up? Can they be taught additional techniques that will then lead to their skill development? Basically, in other words, does the natural configuration of their body type incline them to success in a particular sport? Is the way that they're shaped, are they tall, are they short, are they thick, are they broad, are they heavy, are they light, are they lean, are they flexible, are they contortionist? Do all those sorts of things help them lead into different sports? Basically something like great male swimmers. So studies done by Dr. Joyner, who's an exercise researcher at the Mayo Clinic, established that, look, most great male swimmers are usually 6 foot tall, are lean and muscular, because of the advantage that large muscles give for sprints over short distances. The shorter the distance an athlete had to swim, the greater advantage it was for them to be big. Obviously, being a shorter person like myself, not as long reach, my muscles aren't quite as big as what the larger guys are, so I can't generate as much propulsion. I like to beg to differ. I reckon I could generate a huge amount of force. Not going to test it, but I reckon I can. Distance running, that's another thing. So distance running is slightly different. You would think that tall people naturally have longer strides, but stride length does not really determine speed. Running requires you to lift your body off the ground with each step, being able to travel, being able to propulse yourself off the ground, generate some force off the floor and get your body up and moving forward. You got to propel yourself forward. The more you weigh, the harder you have to work to lift your body off the ground, and therefore the slower you end up being. So if you're quite heavy, quite thick, if you're quite big and heavy, even though you may have a long stride length, you have to work twice as hard to get your body off the ground. What they've found, especially Dr. Joyner again from the Mayo Clinic, has found again that the best runners are actually quite small and light with slim legs. So I fit that category. I fit maybe two of the three of those categories. I'm vertically challenged. I'm not quite lean, but I do have slim legs, unfortunately. I don't know what it is. I just have those chicken legs. But, I would then therefore be 2 out of 3 inclined to maybe be a good long distance runner. I personally hate running, so not going to happen. As with any sport, there are always exceptions to the rule. Someone who is quite tall with a long stride gait may end up being a fantastic runner. But what we're talking about is the vast majority of successful athletes. The vast majority of successful athletes mainly work within a set of rules of physics and exercise. A rule set that applies to their physical makeup and their natural born abilities, what they can do and what they can't do. In analysing the data collected for experiment 5, it can be seen that one female performed highly in the sit-up test, leading us to conclude that she is exceptionally strong in the core and posterior chain-based movements. Compared to the rest of her results, given that she's quite tall, she's lean, she has quite a low BMI, and a good sit and reach score, so her flexibility is quite good, you would think that, you know, sports such as gymnastics may complement her abilities and lead her to success in the future. You know, good strong core, born with it. Obviously, these tests were completed over, you know, with students that don't usually do these sorts of movements all the time. She's tall, she's lean. Gymnastics might be a great sport for her to get into. You know what they always say, if you enjoy doing something, you usually end up being good at it, or if you're good at it, you usually end up enjoying yourself. They're kind of cyclical in that way. Another female in this experiment displayed high scores in the long jump. She displayed a good level of explosive power, which could benefit sports such as long jump or sprints. You know, explosive power, fast twitch muscle fiber types, white fiber types. She probably took off very, very quickly. She has a lot of explosive power through her body. So she would suit sports that are very, very fast paced, maybe not so long distance, but very short. So she may be a good swimmer. She may be a fantastic sprinter. She may be a great runner. Boxing, who knows? Anything that requires that fast twitch muscle fiber type could be something that she could really, really excel at, given the right skill setting and the right practice settings. Basically, Dr. Joyner, the exercise researcher that I've mentioned a couple of times now from the Mayo Clinic, states that most people who run or swim or do other sports do them not because they are aiming for the Olympics, but initially do them because they discover that they're good at them and they enjoy them. I mean, that's pretty basic, isn't it? I don't play golf because I know I suck at it. So for me, I don't enjoy it if I'm not good at it. I do like rugby though. I do like tackling somebody. I like grabbing the ball. I quite running it, and I'm not bad at it. So for me, I enjoy playing sports that I am quite good at, and I'm not going to struggle with the skill sets of them. At the end of the day, it's stated that even though measures of skill would change with practice and learning, the ability underlying these skills would not change with practice. Obviously, it would be a mistake to make a final judgment about somebody's ability based solely on a novice level of measures. And as I stated earlier, there are always exceptions to the rule. But we're talking about that 99% of people that fit within those physical rules of human movement and human exercise and choice of human exercise and human movement. These measures simply provide us with a pool of athletes with which we can develop and nurture. You know, they give us a good pool that we can just dig into and say, okay, well, little Johnny over here is incredibly fast. You know, what if we were to harness that ability that he has and see what sort of sport suits him best, what takes him further and where can he go? You know, Sarah is amazingly strong in her midsection. What can we do with that midsection? What sports rely on great transverse abdominal rotational movements, core-based movements, balance movements, stability movements? What sports can we use that then therefore fit that realm, but also suit her body type? She's tall, she's lean, she's flexible. You know, she doesn't carry a lot of weight on her. She hasn't got a big frame. You know, gymnastics might be perfect. You can get her on the parallel bars. Might be able to get her on the balance beam. Things like that. Basically, that is what we've looked at in this experiment. We've looked at, you know, 6 different tests, all looking at different elements of a person's abilities and where these people lie. Obviously, in this test, it also showed people that weren't so special. Unfortunately, that's a really harsh thing to say, but, you know, they fit into that normal category. That's unfortunately why all of us can't be in that top 1% of people that make the Olympics or in that 1% of elite athletes. We're just not suited to that. We suit other things like being on camera. Basically, at the end of the day, we are looking at, you know, skill sets that we can develop off a person's ability. Hopefully that answered most of your questions, and I hope the presentation fit with what you wanted to look at with your experimental data.